Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. And today in the tier list board, we're going to be talking about Ansem. So, the reason why I'm talking about Ansem today is because there was a comment I saw on a YouTube video uh, for Ansem's passing when he was defeated. And Riku said, "I think I'm going to miss you." Someone said, "I can't believe Riku is having his Stockholm syndrome." And I wanted to talk about that today because out of all of the Xehanorts, I feel as if Ansem is the most understandable. He's probably also the one that has the most humanity in him. So let's think of this. Is Ansem a teacher to Riku, or is Ansem a manipulator and an abuser? And Riku does have Stockholm Syndrome. So let's start off with this. When Ansem first meets Riku, he gives him everything he wants, technically. Yes, Ansem destroys his island, and Riku allows it, takes away his friends, and destroys almost everything that he cares about, technically. But also, Ansem gave him what he wanted, which was to explore what was off of the island, and to become the strongest, and to have power. But that came at a cost of Riku losing himself and falling more and more into darkness, into becoming Riku Ansem at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1. So if you look at it in that way, Ansem did use Riku to try to fill the world within darkness, even creating a darkness within an entire area of the island where he could fight Sora. Riku even helped Ansem open the realm of darkness, technically. If we look at it in another way, was Ansem just gifting the boy his answers? Riku did want power. So did Ansem take advantage of Riku for wanting power, or did Riku accept the power and allowed himself to be taken advantage of by allowing the darkness to take a hold of him and use him for all the wrong deeds? At the end of the day, Ansem is the grown adult in this situation, so he should and should always take the blame for whatever Riku did in Kingdom Hearts 1. Now, we could say that Riku should have had more self control, like Sora, but remember, Riku's a child in Kingdom Hearts 1, and children would do anything to want to explore. Now, let's go to Chain of Memories. Ansem technically allowed Riku to go into Chain of Memories to find Sora. He helped him stay alive in the in between. Also, Ansem saves his life. Riku probably would have. Riku got one shotted, and he probably was going to die if Ansem didn't take control of his body and defeat the organization member that he was going against by helping him. And Ansem also did the same thing when it came to giving him his dark power still against characters like Vexen. The ish in Zexion. The issue that I have here about Ansem in Chain of Memories is that he still is trying to get Riku's body and take control of him to, live in the past. The problem here is this. Was Ansem more helpful to Riku in Chain of Memories or more harmful? That's really up to perspective. I would say he's a little bit more helpful than dangerous to Riku, but that's only because Riku starts gaining a backbone and not wanting Ansem to take control of him and take advantage of him anymore. Now, we can go to Dream Jump Distance, and technically, Ansem did affect him in that game as well, Riku. But before we fully go into Dream Jump Distance, I would like to make an honorable mention for Roxas's game, 358. Ansem's power is the reason why Riku was able to get Roxas and was able to stop Shion. So it was more helpful there than anything. But it still didn't make him have to live as a loner, as if he was Sasuke. But in DDD, Ansem did become a hindrance to Riku by helping, trying to get Sora's body and even fighting him, but he did offer Riku a chance again to join the darkness. It's interesting because when you look at this perspective, you see Ansem depends on Riku to join the darkness, and Riku depended on Ansem to use his darkness to survive as long as he did. The question here is this: did Ansem start caring about Riku more as a student figure in DDD by having his hand out to him to help him? I know he, brushes it off and gets upset that Riku doesn't take it, and they fight again. But the thing I have to say is this: Riku is calm and composed when he's speaking to Ansem. He no longer sees Ansem in DDD as something to fear. He sees him as something as an equal, something in his past that he wants to move on from. Unlike in Chain of Memories, where he wanted to try to show that he was strong, and in Kingdom Hearts 1, where he was used, and in 358, where he needed Ansem's power. In DDD, it's when Riku and Ansem started to be equal when it came to what was going to go down. The problem here is this: Ansem really still wanted to be a part of Riku's life. You could tell by always still wanting to be inside of Riku's body and commanding him and telling him what he needs to do and how to become stronger. Technically, it enforces this narrative that Ansem had a heart to wanting to protect Riku because he saw him as a vessel. But soon, when Riku started to not need Ansem anymore, he became more upset and wanting to show Riku how weak he truly was so he could depend on Ansem again. As if the two of them were fighting over dependence from each other. They both were fighting to try to prove to one another who was stronger. But this is where things might get interesting. In Kingdom Hearts 3, at the end when Ansem is dying, and he's now gone, he begins to think that was all of this really worth everything he has done? Was falling into the darkness really worth all of this? I believe Ansem is probably the most intelligent out of the Xehanorts when it comes to morality. He wants to understand life more than anyone else, and this really shows in the ending cutscene of Kingdom Hearts 3. And when Riku says that he would miss him, I don't think Riku's saying he misses the abuse of Ansem's torture onto him by making him take darkness. But in Kingdom Hearts 1, did Ansem really abuse him? No. He more as if allowed Riku to explore and want more power by teasing him with the darkness that he could one day obtain. I don't think it really started with Ansem hurting Riku until the end of Kingdom Hearts 1. More of around when, right when the beginning of Chain of Memories, end of Kingdom Hearts 1 is when it really started. And what we all have to understand is this, is that look at the similarities between Riku and Ansem. They both have white hair. They both were, Ansem is Xehanort. They both were young kids that wanted to explore and find more out about the world. They both wanted to understand what was out there, and they both wanted to become powerful, and they both wanted to master the darkness. At the end of the day, did Ansem see Riku in himself? And did Riku see Ansem as what he could become if he succeeded? Was this a dynamic that occurred only because they fit very well together? Was Ansem the best teacher for Riku? Would there have been any other character that could have trained Riku in the darkness better than Ansem? Think about it. Riku wouldn't have the powers he has now if it wasn't for Ansem and the trials he went through in his great character development if it wasn't for Ansem. But you could also say if it wasn't for Ansem, Kingdom Hearts wouldn't be in the way it is now, and people wouldn't be suffering, and things that are bad wouldn't be happening, and so our favorite characters wouldn't be suffering, or would have suffered. But this is where I want to answer that comment. Does Riku have Stockholm syndrome from Ansem? Does he still depend on Ansem, or see him as something as a teacher? I say no. I believe Riku doesn't see Ansem as an abuser. He said, "It's weird. I think I'm going to miss you." I think it's because whenever Riku was in danger or whenever he was alone or whenever something was bad happening, he knew he could depend on Ansem to save him. Even though he couldn't stand him, he still had something to know. And remember, when Riku was younger, he thought if he ever was to end, he would be forever trapped in the darkness. And in that darkness, forever trapped, he would always have one person there that would understand him, and that was Ansem. You have to remember, Riku was a scared kid that believed that because he touched the darkness once, he would forever be a part of the darkness for eternity. And when you feel that way, the only thing you really care about is hoping that there be someone there that will remember or be a part of your life or that you can still talk to. The realm of darkness is lonely. Look what it did to Aqua. So Riku believed that possibly he could still have something, a part of him, that could change the world even in the realm of darkness by trapping Ansem down there with him and maybe figuring out more about himself. This is really a interesting topic because at the end of all of this, without Ansem, Riku wouldn't have the power he has, the great story, the character development, the the understanding of who he is, and maybe the grown response he had to Ansem at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 of thinking he would miss him, not by bashing him or saying your darkness was never better or you were never good enough to be this or that or your entire life was for nothing. No. Riku saw that Ansem was a big part of his life, and without him, would any of this be happening? Would he just be a random nobody still? Just a nothing? But at the end of the day, does that add on to people thinking Riku has Stockholm syndrome because he sees Ansem as this gateway of freedom, but Ansem has done nothing but hurt the world and tried to take over and destroy it? It really depends on how you see it in that method. In my opinion, I think it's half and half. I think Ansem was a terrible person in Kingdom Hearts 1 and wasn't the best person in Chain of Memories or any of the games. But I feel as if he had compassion for Riku and he saw him as his student. If he saw him as someone that he could trust and be his successor. Look at all the other Xehanorts. Xemnas didn't care about any of them. He just wanted to destroy them. And look at Xehanort, the same. And young Xehanort is just aggressive and wanted to do the same. Ansem was the only one that wanted to understand and reach peace with himself and pass on his knowledge to another person so there could be something left of him. Xehanort didn't care about any of that. Young Xehanort didn't either. He just did everything Master Xehanort did. And Xemnas is a different character. He's not even a Riku character. He's a Sora character. He fits very well with Sora. He represents the epitome of not ever wanting to become a part of reality, which is a whole other video I should make. But I think that it's half and half. I think that Ansem was a good teacher to Riku, but also a bad influence on him in the beginning and a good influence in the end. You have to look at things well-roundedly. You can't just see everything with a black and white lenses, because in Kingdom Hearts we thought being a part of darkness in Kingdom Hearts 1 instantly meant you were never ever able to be saved. But Riku proved that's possible, and maybe he finally gave Ansem his answer that he's been looking for. That darkness isn't the end-all be-all of everything. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and please have a great rest of your day.